Me, I am a memoir. I said a memoir. The meaning of Mariah Carey.
Hello, Lamely! Welcome to another bonus episode of Me, I Am a Memoir, the meaning of Mariah Carey, where me, Fab, and that Posh go through Mariah Carey's memoir, The Meaning of Mariah Carey, and also her associated output, which has brought us this week to the soundtrack to the film Glitter, also Mariah Carey's studio album. So it is two things in one. It is a huge... enormous
It's a double
project.
DP.
It is a double DP. She's been working on it forever. But normally we don't do a Mimi Moments for an album. But you know what? Sometimes there's diligence in the world of Mariah Carey. And so we are doubling down and we're going to get some of those Mimi Moments.
Me moments. Mariah has been kind this week, giving us a few little moments. So we've got the headlines, quick and simple. Mariah has made a hilarious Fall Plans versus Delta variant meme featuring Bianca on the Twitters.
Oh, yes. I saw that. Very funny.
Very, very fun. Thank you, Mariah. And Fantasy and Fantasy Remix videos have been released in 4K, so we can see the ODB
I
in the
saw
4K.
that. Oh, you can
Very
see the Al
exciting.
Green wig.
Yeah, you can see the tag. But in our lead stories, and we have two this week, the first one is the big bombshell. It's the Black Irish.
Oh, I know.
So
Don't even.
Mariah, I mean, she has her own splash.
Yes.
She's like, I fancy a splash. I'm going to make it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And she's released a range of Irish creams named Black Irish, of course, to celebrate her biracial background.
Yes.
There is original salted caramel and white chocolate flavors with the tagline, a cause for celebration, or a cause for celebration. Now, I have to say, Mariah got these into stores almost instantaneously. Like, she posted it and then Lamley had it. Like, 10 past midnight in their like hot little hands. Like, we've already got it. Yeah, thanks, Mariah. Like, they were banging down those doors.
If I still drank, I would be totally into that. I would be making myself, like, I'd be getting some butterscotch schnapps and getting right into that business.
See, I'm not so good with the dairy. And I feel like any cream alcohol not so good for me. But I'll have some cookies.
Is there any actual dairy in it?
I don't know. I think it's the texture. It's not good.
Yeah.
For the old tum tum.
And it does. It is not good when it comes back the next day.
No. But we also have a little other moment that I mean, we're not. This is. I can it's only hearsay because it's coming from someone else, but it's very interesting. So Margaret Cho, comedian.
Yes.
Has been interviewed and was asked about some surprising stories that people, encounters with other celebrities and things like that.
You always get asked that when you are a celebrity adjacent.
Yes, and you must put the tarp down. So she put the tarp down is what happened.
Oh.
So Margaret was with Mariah in the early 90s before the release of Mariah Carey. And she was, Mariah was all excited because apparently she had in her hand the album.
Yes.
Like pre-release. She was all excited. So that was kind of the one tidbit.
As they call
yes. This was sort of one little tidbit that was shared. And then she went on to say, apparently at the same party, Mariah said that she was going to beat that bitch's ass. To which Margaret says, and I believe she was talking about a not yet famous J-Lo.
No.
So did Mariah not know Lo before she did an I don't know Lo?
Oh.
Because in my head, maybe Margaret's mixing up a party. Like, maybe it was two different parties and she said it's the same party, just memory.
She may have had...
But I was like, imagine.
Was she talking about having the masters of the album Glitter?
Maybe, yeah. Of Loverboy with...
That still had the firecracker sample.
Yeah, firecracker, maybe.
You had to change it at the last
But this is what's so crazy. I was like, okay. So imagine, this could blow the lid off of this if they knew each other
previously.
Yeah.
There's been animosity pre-dating.
I don't understand.
But why was Mariah angry? What had
I know.
Regular Name done?
And was regular name, she was in, was it in Living Colour?
Oh, yeah, she was a dancer.
As a dancer.
She was a dancer.
So I'm guessing she was probably doing that around this time. Maybe
so she's probably just doing squats all over the place. It's like, just stand up properly. What are you doing, woman? Stop trying to pick things up with your butt.
Oh my God, is Mariah buttist? Is that what's happening here? She's anti low butt. I don't know.
Don't bend over all the time. Like, no one needs to see it. Stop
no one needs to see that old woman picking up a leaflet with her bum. But can you imagine if there was more to this?
It's probably about just Margaret's recall.
Yeah, look, it does seem a little strange, but
I'll need a corroborating source, I think.
Yeah, look, but I need this prelude. You know, I need this.
This is a great prelude. I'm into this prelude.
Absolutely. I'm imagining it when Mariah tells it she's 12 and J-Lo's like 70.
I was a zygote. My parents had not met. And this grandma in hot pants kept bending over for no reason. Saying, I'm a fly girl, I'm a fly girl.
And mouthing words that other people...
girl.
She was mouthing words that other people were singing.
Yes.
I don't know.
She kept singing really loudly to the music and none of it was in key.
Although she did pick up the key with her butt.
Yeah.
But yes, look, that was just so fascinating that I had to bring it into the lead stories. How could one not?
How could you not? That is some spectacular dirt that you've dished there.
So here for it. But that does bring us to the end of Mimi Moments.
All right. Well, then we're going to break it on down. We are going to listen track by track to the album that received justice only recently and celebrates its 20th anniversary this week. Can you believe it? Oh my God.
I can't imagine it will be overshadowed by any other anniversaries. But
no other anniversaries happening this week.
No.
Anyway, let's break it all down. Glitter.
Break me on down. All right. So Glitter released September 11, 2001. It was a US number 7 and an Australian number 13. What were we thinking?
We were thinking, what is going on in America?
What is going on?
One of our airlines shut down that week.
Oh, Mariah's out. Hang on. I was meant to fly to Sanity and get Mariah's new album. I lived in the country. It was very far away.
Yeah, it was very far.
So, I mean, little needs to be said about Glitter. I think, as you said, it's infamous, it's famous, it's had its justice moment. So I think we should just dive into the first song.
Yeah.
Which is Loverboy Remix.
Weird way to start with the remix.
Totally random. So we featured... okay. I'm going to ask you why you get it, because I don't. So we've got a feature with Debrat, Ludacris, 22 and Shauna with 2 N's.
Yes.
Written by Mariah, Larry Blackman, Thomas Jenkins, Debrat, Ludacris, 22 and Shauna.
Yep.
I'm going to hit us up with the little poshnopsis of the video.
Poshnopsis, a poshnopsis, a poshnopsis.
So, you ready?
I love that you danced to my poshnopsis.
Of course I did. Silver flag man, car race shorty shorts, bum cheeks, Mariah has flags. Debrat races to Burger King. Mariah rides a car and wears a canteen bandana on her busies. Now she's in a kaleidoscope. And then in brackets, Mariah scope.
It was such a Mariah
it's
scope.
a Mariah
I
scope.
love it. So many Mariahs.
I don't care about all of these cars, but Mariah jumps out of a cake.
Woo!
Woo! That's the whole video.
Get yourself a love. Woo! There's a lot of wooing in this song.
There's a lot of wooing. Yeah, and there's a lot of bouncing.
A lot of
bouncing. I was going to say it. A lot of bouncing in that video. I think whatever... Look, the straps have worn off well and truly. Like, even more so than they'd worn off in Heartbreaker, I think.
I don't understand how the tied up at the front bandanas stayed in place, but God love that woman and her amazing pneumatic breasts. Like, they worked overtime. Like, she must have a muscle in there that holds things up.
I think so. Yeah. A Mariah muscle.
The Mariah muscle. How did you feel about the song itself?
So, I'm going to leave some of my comment until we get to the
real Loverboy.
The other Loverboy, yeah. I wasn't expecting to begin with a remix, as you have mentioned. I did kind of like that Mariah was kind of done pretending. Like, I'm not going to just, like, not have features. I'm going to feature everywhere.
Yeah.
All over. And we're going to start with it. So I didn't mind it. I thought it was catchy and boppy, and it didn't completely change the song, the remix. It just feels like another version with features, which is kind of fun. I like sometimes. I think she did it with It's Like That as well, where the single had, you know, the radio edit. It had the version with the features, and you could sort of pick what you were feeling that day. It's like, do I feel like the hip hop? Do I feel like the more sort of mainstream pop? Maybe I'll feel like both. So I do kind of enjoy that when she does it. But I did note that Shauna actually says Heartbreaker in her verse, which I thought was interesting. Little callback. She forgot what song she was doing. But yeah, I'll leave it at that for now.
I actually know this version better. Like, this one feels more familiar to me than the... Okay. I know it's not quite rapless, the regular version, but all like...
Unlike the outfit.
Yeah. That is entirely rap. But yeah, this is Loverboy to me. Like, when I hear Ludacris, when I hear Debrat, I'm like, yeah, this is how I know this song. Like, it's weird for me to hear it without them.
Okay. Yeah,
which is strange. Because the other one would have been the one on the radio, because, you know, that was a time when we didn't play the rap on the radio in Australia.
Well, I will say Spotify, this one has probably twice as many plays as OG Loverboy.
Do you know what I discovered today? So I listened to the album through a couple of times, and then went on to there was a medley single that came out, Never Too Far.
Don't worry, I touched on it.
And The Hero, so I listened to that.
It's in here.
And then the B-side that was a rejected Diane Warren song she'd written with her from Rainbow, the whole works.
Oh.
Anyway, I even went to the rarities and thought, let's have a listen to the Firecracker one again after having just listened to this one. So I thought I'll listen to them back to back and give them a little compare. I had not realised until this very day that Debrat raps in tune to that sample.
You didn't realise?
I had not known.
God.
Because I'm not a low lover. So I didn't I don't have that sample as like a touchstone for so long.
How funny.
So like it's like,
well, because the Loverboy remix, the Loverboy chorus is still that melody.
Yeah. I know.
So funny.
But it's just like she's really hammering because it's like really prominent. And I'm like, oh, so all the things she's saying about regular people in her rap is to the tune of a regular person's song. And I'm like, this is epic. Like this, I love it even more now. Because I just had not...
I can't believe you didn't know.
Well, I didn't want to engage with it for so long. I was just like, I just don't want to deal with what's happened to her, the way she's been treated by Tommy. I don't want to deal with, like... You know, for a long time, I was very anti-low, and then became begrudgingly okay low.
How did that happen?
What?
How did that moment switch? What was it that made you okay low? Yeah.
Oh, seeing her in concert.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, like just her putting on a show and going, okay, she can't sing, but she can put on a show. I appreciate the showmanship. I've enjoyed her acting. But I didn't.
Well, that was a separate, so you could separate that.
Yeah, I didn't want anything to do with her music career. Also, I was working in gay bars when she was quite big, and so I had to hear her songs a lot, and was not okay with it. You know, when you hear like even my beloved Kelly Clarkson, when I heard her too much on the radio, sometimes I'd be like, you know, maybe enough of this one. Maybe.
Well, I will say,
maybe Since It Could Be Gone can go.
I'm a massive Kelly fan.
Yes, but
there are still a couple of songs that I never, and I don't want to say the other artist that they remind me of, but there's another artist that I find quite cloying, and just irritates my ear a little. And there was a couple of songs when that person started that were reminiscent, if not actually written by that person. And I can't go there. And I also found out that it was one particular song she was kind of forced to do. And it involved a certain Dr. Luke, who she actually she took her name off the song because she didn't want to be associated with him. So it left a bad taste in. It's probably similar to what you're saying with J-Lo and Mariah in terms of going, I don't, this is fine, but no. Sorry, I was just pointing that out because we went there. So yeah, I had not really, like, because that's, you know, that
sample obviously has been in my head associated with that song for so long. So when, I hadn't really noticed it before, that it was still integral to the song, even though the plinky bit had not been in there. So yeah, it's weird. And I have to say, I actually think it works better without the sample.
I agree.
Like, I think, being based around the song is fine, but the sample means there's a bit too much woo and and I feel like this one kind of like hits the ground running a lot faster. And I do prefer the rapping one. I like the remix better.
All right. Heaven. I'm going to hold off on saying too much more because I do want to give the complete story at the end. But for this one, I gave it a 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5?
How are you vibing?
Oh, my God.
That's a good score.
Oh, my God. It's infinity. It's glitfinity.
Oh, so would you say that this is on par with other Infinity?
I'd say it's on par with Heartbreaker.
Mariah's?
Like, it's very,
Okay.
It's up there with Heartbreaker. Even Honey, I think. Like, just as a first song from an album, it's just like, it feels like, a fun summer song. Like, and especially Debrat, like, just.
I mean, we love Debrat.
Laying down the law.
And we love her grandma.
On me.
All right, let's hit up track number 2, Lead the Way, written by Mariah. And guess who's back? Walter Snuffleupagus. Snuffleupagus, because this song, turns out, was written a few years earlier. Mariah's like, what are we going to do for this soundtrack? Oh, I have a song.
I've got one. I got one up my sleeve. I got a Snuffleupagus just hanging around.
In my what is it that she's wearing? I don't even know.
In her bandana.
In my bandana. In my
bradana. In her Jessica Simpson style bradana.
Yes. I mean, Jessica wishes.
I know. Like, the Daisy Dukes were not helping her at all.
So now Mariah has said she feels that this is the love theme for Billy and Dice.
Yes.
In the film Glitter. And this was also on Ally McBeal.
Oh.
Mariah went on. So because I remember we talked about this. You haven't seen Mariah in Ally McBeal.
I have not seen Mariah in Ally McBeal.
It's a very quick moment, but it's very Mariah. So if you get a chance, look it up on YouTube, or maybe we'll watch the episode. But I don't think she's in it enough to watch it, the whole episode. But
I do love like a David E. Kelly show, so I would be happy to watch all of Ally McBeal from beginning to end.
That's true.
Just for one episode of Mariah.
Yeah, for sure. It does have Alison from Melrose Place, so it's good.
Alison. And Billy used to say it.
I know. Alison. And she always says Billy, and her husband's name in Ally McBeal is Billy. So you get like 9 seasons of her. Got to finish the Ally McBeal thing, just in saying that she plays a character. She's not Mariah Carey.
No.
She's a witness on the stand.
Okay.
And then randomly at the end of the show, she's singing in the club. She's pushed Vonda Shepard aside, and this is the song she sings. But
was this? This is probably because was this in 2001? Was this like promo for the movie?
It was, yeah.
So she wouldn't have gotten paid. Like, that would have been like a...
No, maybe not.
I mean, she would have been recompensed in some way, but she wouldn't have been paid as Mariah Carey would have deserved to be paid, because it would be too much for a TV.
They were spending it too much on on Callista.
Yeah.
But it was funny because Anastasia was on around the same time, and Mariah knows Anastasia.
Oh.
She likes her tweets, which is very funny because even though Anastasia's American, she has no success there. Yeah. She's mainly Europe and Australia. But I was like, maybe that's how they met in the hall.
Maybe.
They were like, you have a big voice too. Oh, I like you.
I like your big vocals.
So for Lead the Way, what are your thoughts? How do you feel?
Oh my God, Lead the Way. I love the build because it starts so breathy and soft, and then we get not only a massive belt and some whistle notes and a run, but there is a point.
So it's a marathon
towards the end of the song where I'm like, how has she not fainted? She has not breathed. There's not been a breath for about 2.5 minutes. Yeah. She's been holding a sustain and a squeal, and now a run, and now another sustain. What is happening? It is like it is one of those songs that sticks the landing. as far as ballads go. Like it is, and it does feel like a throwback. It does feel like a throwback to earlier Mariah albums. Like it's this could sit on Music Box quite happily with those 400 other ballads.
My last note, I think it's nice to get this as a bit of a throwback to something she could have done on Music Box or Daydream.
Oh, wow.
Literally my last... Just back to what you were saying about her sticking the landing, because I agree. But there was a song, I didn't write it down, but somewhere later on, I think one of the other ballads where she does a big moment similar to the end of this. But there's like one word that sounds like it's been quickly thrown in later, like she maybe needed to catch her breath. And then they just put a word in there. It's fine. And I've never noticed that before, but it popped up in my head when you said that. So what I wrote was, it just felt like a really nice balance vocally, and she resisted a key change. Good girl. Yeah. Good girl, because I was like, it's going to happen. And it might have worked, but I was really happy that she didn't.
She did a run instead. She goes, I'll do a little run and then just stay where I am. And
it worked.
Because I've already belted this note once, so let's give it one more go.
Yeah, we're going to do it. And I also appreciated it was a good length, about 4 minutes. I was like, great. It's ticking the boxes.
I never look at the length. I want them to all go for 22 minutes. a 22 minute sustain would be my ideal Mariah song. With a whistle and a little run.
That definitely wouldn't kill her.
I'm going to edit one together now.
Oh my God. All right, so what score did you give this song?
Oh my God, this gets Whistlefinity.
See, I feel like already I'm the mean marker coming back.
Oh yeah, you're gonna hate.
I gave it a 4.5, but I said it could grow. I was like, I think this one would grow. The second listen, I bumped it up already.
I forgot all about this song.
Did you?
Yeah.
I think that's maybe the one thing with some ballads, because she's had so many ballads. Some of the ones, as nice as they are, they just don't stand out.
Oh, there is,
even when they're really good.
There is a ballad on this album that I won't talk about it until we get there, but that is just how I think of this album.
Okay.
And everything else on it, I'm like, oh, that's right, this is on this album, because there is one song that I just go, oh, it's that album.
So the next track 3, I'm Real. Or If We. Which features Ja Rule, or Jalo, as I call him, and Nate Dogg. Written by Jeffrey Atkins, who I'm assuming is Ja Rule, Mariah, Nathaniel Hale, which I think is Nate, Howard Hirsch, and Damian Young. And then later reworked by Demiza and released as a single called What Would You Do, with Butch Cassidy, Nate Dogg, and Mariah in 2004. Was not across this. Apparently there was a whole moment as to why someone else got kicked off the track.
Yes.
Anyway, do you know about this?
Well, I presume it's because they went off and did the other one.
I actually wasn't referring to Jalo, but I think it was someone else. But maybe the story's got a bit muddled. But let's say it's that. So for this one, I wrote, it's nice, not enough Mariah.
No.
And very hard not to hear other Ja Rule songs of the time, not just regular ones, but Ashanti ones.
Yes.
And just the general jar of it all. And I kind of wasn't the biggest fan of that moment.
You didn't like the Ja Rule moment?
I liked a couple of the Ja Rule moments, but because they all sounded the same, really, it was like, okay.
This song feels like Mariah's doing BVs until we get to the end. And then we get something we very rarely get from Mariah, which is sub-whistle high notes. Like up at the top of her register, but not her whistle register.
Yeah.
And she very rarely goes there. Because she's always like down in the bottom, and then, I'll just do a whistle just to show you how good I am, and then we can go home.
Yeah.
But this is like some proper, kind of soprano register almost, like very high.
I have to go back now and re-listen with that in mind.
But just right at the end, and it's just like one of these moments you're like, oh, fuck, I forgot you could sing there.
Well, someone recently posted a thing, which actually brings Kelly Clarkson back in, which was the Ariana and Mariah
comparison.
Whistle, what do you call it? Harmonizing of the whistles in the Christmas special. And it showed that compared with the clip of Kelly singing All I Want for Christmas Is You, where she sings that sort of big belt at the end.
Yeah.
Which it sounds wonderful, and she can sing it very well. And Kelly has quite a decent high register.
Yeah.
But they were comparing it as if, Kelly sang All I Want for Christmas Is You, so she could do this. And I was like, I love Kelly, but And she maybe could do it, but you're comparing two completely different things because this is high belt versus whistle register. They're different. Yeah. But I didn't want to get into an argument with a stranger on the internet, so I didn't say anything, but I can say it here.
But yeah, I often forget that she has control over her high range and not just her extremely high range. Like and it's right at the end of the song, and it's just like, it's kind of like she's gone, I'm just going to put a capper on this. I've been singing along. I've been enjoying it. Everyone's having fun in my studio, and I'm just going to remind you that I have some supreme control of some very high notes.
I did say that I thought Mariah's bit was particularly catchy. So I enjoyed Mariah's moments when she had them, but I just would have liked a little more. And I think that's kind of a little bit of a theme in some of the songs on this album, which we'll surmise at the end. I think there's a reason for it.
Yes. Definitely there's a reason.
So I'm curious about what I have my reason, but I'm curious as to what your reason is. So I gave this a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I think I'd give it a solid 4. Like, it's not, like, it's a great song. Like, it's a fun song. It's just, again, I forget a lot of these songs are on here. And that's, when you look into the sun, you do not see much else. All you can see for about 20 minutes after you look into the sun is the sun. And when we get to the sun, you will know.
Whose son?
No, I'll send you a picture of him. That's a different thing.
Okay, great. All right, let's smash on to the next track, which is Didn't Mean to Turn You On.
Oh, cover.
Wow, I did not know this going in. So there is a whole story behind what's about to happen.
Oh, I love it.
Written by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, a cover of Sherelle. So I'm going to read to you what I wrote, and don't comment until I've finished because you'll want to jump in.
Right.
But I get there.
Okay.
So I wrote, this is a Prince vibe that I can get on board with. Mm-hmm. This feels so 80s. I'm impressed. Getting Prince, Janet vibes with some Robert Palmer. Mm-hmm. So sad it turned out to be a cover. But Mariah did sing over the original track, and Terry did the backing vocals, found that out. And then I found an interview where Mariah said, people are coming up to me about, I did a cover of Didn't Mean to Turn You On, and they're like, oh, isn't that a Robert Palmer song? And I was like, oh, how funny that people thought that as well, and Mariah's talking about it. So I Googled it, and because I initially Googled Sherelle when I found out it was a cover. And so I was like, oh yeah, cool. And it's very similar and enjoyable.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh, Robert Palmer did it. Okay. And then I listened to his, and I didn't like his version. It just... Because he could sing. Like Simply Irresistible was a power moment vocally. It was coming out of him, and he didn't really.
This one's a kind of a slow burn for him. Whereas Mariah's gone, like you say, the full Prince Shaka Khan kind of 80s.
Oh, I love it, Shaka.
Oh, and it is premium Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Like I love that they're. Like that she's had this association with them for so long, and that she's dipped back into their back catalogue to do a song on this album. Like it feels just kind of right. It's like, oh, I discovered how amazing they were on my last album, so I'm gonna pay them to work on this album and give them a little bump in the royalty check department.
That's always her reasoning for doing a cover.
I figure that's why she does, why she did Brenda K. Starr. She's like, oh, go on, Brenda, I'll give you a little bump in the royalty checks with this one. It's like with Whitney and, because Dolly made so much money off Whitney Houston from I Will Always Love You. Mariah's just going around going, all right, I'm going to do a cover. Who wants it? Who needs cash?
Anyone? I'm going down the shops, going to dub something off. Anyone want to?
Going to dub something off down the shops. Who needs it?
I did see recently I was so disappointed, they did on RuPaul's Drag Race, an all-stars Snatch Game of Love.
Yes.
And one character was Dolly Parton and one was Whitney Houston. And I was like, this is a game of love. Not one of you thought to mention the fact that you both sang I Will Always Love You. Like, just, no, it was a shame.
Queens don't have any history. They don't understand the Elvira joke. It's all wrong. They're not in it for the camp and the fun. They're in it for them. Anyway,
how
another
is
reason
your head,
I don't
by the
watch
way?
that show. How is what?
How is your head?
Oh, I haven't had any complaints.
There we go. Okay, so it's so funny. So this song, you would expect me not to like it because it has that kind of Prince thing going on, but I really liked it.
It's really good, isn't it?
I'd never heard it. I just loved like sort of the melody, like that bit. I was like, it's every time I hear it in the song, I'm like, oh, yes, all of that. So I haven't really stopped listening to it since. And I love Sherelle's version, which is exactly the same.
Yeah.
But
I like the kind of syncopated. That's what I think Robert Palmer doesn't get right, is the syncopated delivery of the lyrics. Like the way it kind of stops and starts and is just slightly off the beat a little bit is fun. Like it gives it that kind of dancey energy, whereas he's kind of lounge singing it almost.
I know, and it's so strange because the reason that it reminded me of him was because of that delivery and those synths and like, I don't know.
Because like that's normally how he
had the hit
he sings. And it's weird. I know it's strange, but And
it screamed him, literally. As soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, it's Robert Palmer.
Yeah.
Like, and without knowing that he'd done it.
I don't think the production served him well on that song either.
No, there was just something lacking in the whole thing. And do you know why I thought of him? Was because the background sort of synths and bits and pieces made me think of the Dancing Girls.
Oh, and they're in the video clip.
And they're in the video. And I was like, you're not even doing them justice, guys.
No, it was a very, I think that was just a hit because he had girls again in the video.
Yeah.
Pretending to play instruments. Looking confused.
Pretending to be turned on.
I loved it. So much fun. Like it's this is one of the songs when I see the Glitter album cover, I go, oh, didn't mean to turn you on. Like that's what enters my head when I see the artwork. Like I'm like, oh yeah, that 80s vibe, I love it.
And it's like kind of the first time on the album that you really get that. Like what, it sort of to me
it feels like
the 80s.
There's something weirdly schizophrenic sometimes about this album because I feel like this is the first track of the Mariah Carey 80s concept album for the movie.
Yes.
And the preceding couple of tracks have been, we need something on we can turn into singles. Do you mind? Sure. And like the cameo appearance kind of pushes Loverboy into that area a little bit. And some of the production on that feels a bit 80s, but it still feels very, like early noughts Mariah.
No, I agree, and I think that happens a few times. Whereas, this does feel all encompassing.
Yeah,
like we are in the 80s.
I'm at a club at an age where I shouldn't be at a club, basically.
Yeah, literally.
I would have been fortunate.
All right, so I was 3 months. I gave this one 4.5 out of 5. I nearly went for a full 5 pushing infinity. My favorite bits were in the first half and then it just becomes chorus. And I was like, just maybe one more verse, just sprinkle that in at the end and I would have been full infinity land.
No, this is synthfinity for me. Like it is.
Is it? Yeah.
It's just so like, I love it. I love this little mini album that's in the middle of this album.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Are we ready to not stop funking for Jamaica?
We will not stop.
Don't stop funking for Jamaica. So, written by Mariah, DJ Clue, Duro, I guess, and Mystical, and Tom Brown, and Tony Smith. I'm guessing there's a sample, which is Funkin' for Jamaica by Tom Brown.
Yeah, that would be it.
This did come in at number 36 in Australia with the double A side of Never Too Far. Mm-hmm. And we have a video.
We do.
You ready? Are you ready?
We do. Are you ready? Poshnopsis. A poshnopsis. Poshnopsis.
You've got to do the shoulder dance. Okay.
Poshnopsis. A poshnopsis.
Don't start. Do not start. We don't have time. This can't turn into an 18-part review. Okay. So, the video. Fun little club and shots of water. Mariah has bangs.
Oh, yeah.
Mystical vibes. 3 Mariahs.
Triple Mariah.
Triple Mariah. We've got straight hair Raya, Farrah hair Raya, and ponytail Raya.
I have to say, just as an aside, all of her appearances at publicity for this movie, and she's rocking Farrah Fawcett hair. I'm like,
she loved it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. She's gone
and a ponytail. The tiara reel. Now we're outside, and Mariah swings. Mariah has some natural curls and hands out some snacks. Farrah Mariah squeals, and the other Mariahs are impressed. Did you spot that moment?
It's so good.
She's squealy. I was like, yes, well done.
She's good. I'm just a background vocalist, but I'm really impressed with you.
Yeah. Only Mariah can do background for Mariah.
I did love that it was like we were
stage.
finally seeing Mariah's studio process come to life.
Yeah, literally.
I do all my own background vocals.
I just do everything. No one else can. Everyone, go away. So I will say the one thing, because of Mystical, and he's very, what do you call it? Like, that it's mystical.
Very idiosyncratic delivery.
Yes.
Yeah.
All I can think of is the intro scene of Scary Movie 2 when they're singing Shake Your Ass on the piano. Have you seen it? Which we can't repeat because it's problematic, but it was done by the Wayans brothers, so I think it's okay. But I did say I get the general idea, which I enjoy, but it's not 100% my vibe. I feel that Mystical's a little yelly.
He's very yelly.
A little yelly, but he's cute. I thought he was nice looking in the video.
He's very cute. I don't mind his yelling on this because Mariah is also quite yelly on this song.
Sure.
Like,
It's preferable to some yelling later.
Yeah. You know what? I have a lot of fondness for this. Because I love Funkin' for Jamaica. It's one of my favorite, like, funky 80s vibes. So it's like, because I'm like, it's not really a cover because there's so much rap and so much mucking around that it's not quite a cover. It's more of an interpolation. But also the moment in the movie where she sings this is like, oh, yeah, no, this is great.
It's literally behind you.
Yeah, I know.
So I did write this. I said, I did want more Mariah, but her bit at the end, which I remember from the movie, is pretty great. Like, I'm like, more of that, Mariah.
Yeah. So I kind of enjoy it because it's not like that all the way through, which would have driven me crazy. Because it's like a funk song. You don't want it, you don't want it shouted the whole time.
Well, I feel like you would, though. I feel like you're like, yes, please shout it the entire time.
No, I want shouting the entire time just with the piano.
Right.
But I love a build. I love a slow build. And this is like just suddenly it's like, all right, I'm Mariah, I better do some singing. It's because this song's been going on for a while. I'll sing at the end and we can go home. Somebody pay her and send her home.
I need a wow moment. I'll just tack it on here.
Yeah,
Come on.
Yeah.
So for this one, consistency. I gave this one a 4.
Yeah. I mean, I do enjoy this a lot, but I think it's on the cusp for me. It's not quite infinity. Although I feel like I have a lot of associations with the movie, so maybe it's it's just about there.
I'm curious to see how I will feel, even though I have seen the movie. It's been a long time, so how I'll feel knowing a bit more about these tracks and how they are folded in.
Yeah.
All right, let's hit up the next one, which is All My Life, bracket, turn silk way down, close bracket. Written
all the way up.
It was written by Rick James for Glitter. Did you know this?
Yes.
It was actually written for this.
This was the white suits and the white limo and the other white accoutrement.
Yeah. Sally Field, as we established. So, what are your thoughts on this?
I love... like I said, I love this little mini album that we've been having where we've had a whole bunch of really funky songs, and this is continuing our 80s funk era. Disco Flute, hello. How can you go past a song that is riddled with disco flute? It's just something like, what is going on? It's disco flute.
It's an early iteration of Disco Stick. It's the disco flute.
Disco Stick. And... yeah, I kind of like her vocals. It's kind of sweet and funky and fun, but it's not. Again, it's not a standout on the album.
Yeah,
but it really does feel very. You're just like, oh fuck, they got Rick James to write a song, and it is a very funky piece of work. And I can't go past the disco flute. It is
it's
kind
all
of
you
epic. Like, it is
like going full disco flute.
I just hear, oh man.
It was beautiful.
That was a very bad disco flute.
You should do disco flute on Mariah's next tour.
I'll do disco recorder.
Terrible. I think I'd rather the cheats. Okay, so this one I wrote that. Oh my god. So I did write. I feel like this one fits the brief, but it doesn't quite jump out for me.
Yeah.
But it's not a skip either. Like it's not like, oh god, this one.
Like when it comes on, I'm like, oh, that's right. All my life, I love this. This is fun.
And I think it's got good stuff in there. It just doesn't quite hit its potential. I did write, hit me with more of the 80s synth, which maybe that's the flute. Maybe that's the disco. There was a few things in there I'm like, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
More of that, please.
Disco flute is the best.
But I will say, I didn't notice this on the first listen, but on the second listen, and it could have just been because I've been a little bit headachy, the tone that Mariah is singing in, it's just a smidge whiny in mainly the verses. It reminded me of like Michael Jackson before puberty, which, I mean, his voice didn't drop that much anyway. But, you know, like that really sort of young sounding high tone.
Yeah, that kind of early Britney.
Yeah. I mean, Britney has even a lower voice anyway. But just that, I'm young. And I don't know, it might have been a choice, or it might have just been where her voice was that day. But the second time I listened to her, I sort of, it was like you saying, hello, what do you call it? Hello, Emily. Like, I was like, hang on.
Oh, I got it.
So it wasn't horrible or anything.
Yeah.
It was just, semi-toned down, I probably would have felt more comfortable.
Maybe it was the encode you were listening to.
Yeah. Is that the brown noise, or is that something else?
I don't know.
So yeah, look, it was neither here nor there for me, so I gave this one a 3.75.
Yeah. This one I'm giving a 5. Not quite infinity, but you know, it's got disco flute, mate.
Fair enough. All right, on to reflections, bracket, care enough, close
Care
bracket.
enough.
Which
Mariah calls it care enough. Other people
Does
call
she?
it reflections, yeah.
Okay. Just like, I'm calling it what I call it, okay. So written by Mariah and Philippe Pierre.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did like about this was I feel like it's the appropriate time for the next ballad.
Yeah,
it wasn't
a good gear
ballad.
change
It was like, okay.
after our mini 80s funk album we've just had.
Yes. Yeah. It's like the EP.
EP, mini 80s funk glitter EP in the middle of this other large studio album.
And I did feel that lyrically, thus far, it's probably the most sort of personal and, at the very least, the most obvious. Which, of course,
Some great lyrics, though. Like, really.
Yeah, I've written a section down. You could argue that it's about the mum in the story, but I could also argue that it's about Patrick.
Well, for so long, it was about Billy, the character. And, you know, Mariah even said, this is about a character. It's not about my life because my mum loves me. And now having read the book, I'm like, this is not about Billy.
And what I wrote was the lyric, you could have had the decency to give me up before you gave me life.
That is a controversial lyric. Like,
it is a controversial lyric.
About choices made.
Just a little abobo. It's fine.
It's like really skirting the, like, and also she delivers that line with
the whole song feels very,
very personal.
Clear. Yeah. And this might surprise people, but it did remind me a little bit of Underneath the Stars, but the good bits that I like. Because I have said there's bits of Underneath the Stars that I do like, but there's
is it the breathy vocals at the start?
I don't remember. I'd have to go back. I think it's a little bit of the melody, actually.
Yeah.
Because I kept hearing, is it reverie? Is that the word she says in Underneath the Stars? You know how there's a word that she says in like a random new word that we learn in every song. There's a part, and I think it was reverie anyway. It happened both times I listened to it. I was like, what is this remember? Oh yeah, Underneath the Stars. So I feel like for me, this is like a redemption for that song and the melody that I enjoyed.
Oh, cool.
That has brought it together. I was like, okay, it needed to walk so that Care Enough could run. And 4th of July is never to be heard of again.
Okay, let's not talk about
so I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5.
Is that all?
That's good for me. That's equal with my other top score.
So this is the sun that is obliterating all other songs for me on this album. This is possibly one of my favourite Mariah songs. Full stop.
Not.
It could be my favorite. Like, you know, they change. But for a long time, this was my favorite Mariah song. This feels like a spiritual sequel to Vanishing.
Okay.
Which is a very personal song, obviously, clearly about Alison. And there this feels like, as much as she says it's about the character and the movie, you just go, nah, mate. like reading the book made me go, oh, I've always felt that Reflections was far more personal than it. Like, it felt
instantly.
Like you just go, you know, you're a decent actor, but this feels like more than just a character study. Like, it's like the lyrics are spectacular. Like and I love this song so much that when it turned up in the film, I did not enjoy that scene.
Oh, because you...
Which we can talk about when we watch the movie. Okay. But yeah, it's just, I just love, like, because it is the simplicity. It's just piano and Mariah, and you know, there's very little production getting in the way of her just singing her truth, basically, and it feels really powerful. It is just one of the most, like I said, it's one of my favorite Mariah songs, and you know, I have many favorites, but this would be up there with Vanishing
Almost
and
Home.
All I've Ever Wanted. Like, it's pure Mariah.
I can just think of Almost Home. It's all I can think of.
It's
the best Mariah song in the world. Number one ever. Okay, so did you score it? I'm assuming it was Infinity. Yeah, perfect.
All right, we've had to interrupt the album because we've been talking way too long.
So unlike us.
I know, it is confusing. So Glitter will become a two-part. We've got side one and side two. Look, the vinyl has two sides.
Perfect.
So
that's how we get
it. That's how it works. So we have more justice for Glitter in the next episode, and then we're going to watch the movie. All right. More Glitter next time. Bye, Lamely.
Bye, Lamely.